Hi there. This will be the final video for 1.3. Alright, we have discussed on measure of central tendency, and the next one will be measure of dispersion. As for measure of dispersion, just as its name, any method being actually calculated under the measure of dispersion will actually give you a result of a dispersion of data or spreadness of data. Okay, how far a data from each other. So for this one, for measure of central tendency before, the calculation will give you the center point. For measure of dispersion, the measure will give you the dispersion of data, or how far, what is actually the spreadness of for each data. So for this one, among the measures that can be used is range, variance, and standard deviation. Actually, standard deviation and variance is actually within one group, because as you know, to get standard deviation you will need to calculate for variance first. Okay, so the detailed discussion on measure of dispersion will be done on class later. And as the next one, measure of position. Right, measure of position is a measure that being made to get the position of the data, whether it is in front, behind, or in the middle, or we can also say that whether how many percent, what is the percentage of person that is behind us, right? So among the measure of position that we have in this book, I will just actually read it out. We have a z-score. This is actually the score that we are going to use when we calculate for normal distribution later. We will discuss further on that. And then why not I just write it down, right? So we have the first one, z-score. Okay, z-score. And then we have next one, which is percentile. Okay, we are not going to focus on this, but just for you to know, percentile talk about percentage, talk about the position in the form of percentage. Okay, in which percentage, in which percentage of group that we are belong to. Okay, and then we have quartiles. Okay, quartiles talk about also your position, but in the position that are being divided by 4, right? In 100%, you divided in 4 equal space, and in which space that you are belong to. We are going to talk more about quartiles later, because quartiles actually will be related to box plot. So we are going to calculate for quartile first, and then we are going to use it inside box plot later. So we're going to talk it in class. Alright, and what else do we have in measure of position? Okay, so just until quartile. So basically, by using z-score, percentile, quartiles, you will get to measure the position of the data. So basically, that is all in 1.3. Right, let me zoom in out. Okay, this is what we have in 1.3. Let me sum everything up. So basically, we have types of data, graphical data presentation, and numerical data presentation. Within type of data, you need to be able to identify what is a qualitative, nominal, ordinal, or quantitative, discrete, continuous. For graphical data presentation, you will also need to differentiate the qualitative and quantitative kind of data before you can decide on which graph that you are going to use. And next, for the numerical data presentation, it has 3 kind of measures that can be used together, or you can use either 1 or 2, it doesn't matter, depend on the need of your data. So you have measure of central tendency that we calculated using mean, median, mode, right? Depending on the situation, you will need to use mean, median, or mode. So measure of dispersion and measure of position is a measure that we will discuss in detail later in class. But again, let's look at it. For measure of dispersion, the kind of measure that being done here is range, variance, standard deviation. And for measure of position, z-score, percentile, and quartiles. And that's it for 1.3. Okay, I will be looking forward to discuss with you about measure of dispersion and measure of position in detail in class later. So thank you and Assalamu alaikum.